Ambassador Tudong Mulua Louise, Head of Peat Land Agency Nasir Fouad, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the kind remarks, and I hope to go to West Papua someday. I haven't been there yet. We know that forests and lands make up as much as 1/3 of the solution to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. We also know that emissions are rising, and 1 million species are threatened by extinction. We know that the Sustainable Development Goals are closely interconnected, like you mentioned as well. Achievement in one area should also lead to progress in another. To solve this crisis, Indonesia and Norway are finding solutions together. The long partnership between Indonesia and Norway on forests and climate is part of the solution. The Indonesian government just released a report that documents the reductions in carbon emissions from deforestation in 2017. Independent numbers indicate that this positive development has continued in 2018. Forest loss on peatlands are down as much as 80% according to Global Forest Watch. This is an achievement of global significance. An impressive set of reforms of Indonesia's land management over several years is starting to show results. In line with our bilateral climate and forest partnership agreement, Norway will now start paying Indonesia for reduced emissions once the results are verified by a third party. Hard work and courage bear fruit. Brave decisions lead to results that benefit us all. Under the leadership of President Joko, I may pronounce this wrong, Joko Widodo and Minister Siti Nurbaya, the Indonesian government has implemented regulations to protect primary forests and carbon-rich peatlands. And recently, Indonesia introduced a moratorium, as you mentioned as well, on further expansion of palm oil. Law enforcement has been substantially strengthened, and a social forestry program is helping local communities manage their forest resources in a sustainable manner. Pak Nasir and the Peat Restoration Agency have made important progress in mapping, monitoring, and restoring peatlands. The number of fires have gone down significantly, and Indonesia has taken a global leadership role in testing better ways to manage peatlands. The results will benefit the global community and enhance climate mitigation action. But the good results will only continue if the right balance of policy and market incentives are in place. It is critical that production of palm oil and other commodities take place in areas where there is no peat, forests, or conflicts with communities. We know, as you mentioned as well, that it is possible to intensify production in existing areas and prevent further forest loss. The preliminary results of a yield gap analysis carried out by the University of Nebraska in partnership with Indonesian research institutions show there is a big potential to increase the yield on both smallholder and large-scale palm oil plantation. There is no need to clear new areas to intensify production. It will be challenging to achieve this if new market incentives stimulate a large increase in demand. Around 500 global companies have committed to phasing out deforestation from their supply chains of soy, beef, palm oil, pulp and paper by the end of 2020. This is a very ambitious target that requires intensified efforts and investments. Consumers and voters in many parts of the world are concerned that the food they eat and the products they consume have caused deforestation. And as you are well aware, Norway's parliament has therefore requested the cabinet to develop a comprehensive proposal for measures and taxes with the aim to exclude biofuels with high risk of deforestation. The Parliament has requested that these measures enter into force by January 2020. Our new government platform from January this year includes a similar decision. But let me clarify, this is not a ban on palm oil or any other crop. We will honor our international obligations and trade agreements, and we are exploring appropriate approaches. Because we know that the palm oil sector is important for the Indonesian economy, we know that it employs millions of people, including many smallholders. That is why we would like to help intensify palm oil production on existing farms, outside forests and peat areas. Indonesia can increase palm oil production without destroying more forests and peatlands, and this is very good news. Earlier this year, Norway entered into an agreement with our development finance institution Norfund to offer credit to smallholders in West Kalimantan who want to intensify their palm oil production without deforestation. Lack of access to credit and unsecured tenure rights is an obstacle for many smallholders. Norway also supports the End Green Fund, which will provide risk capital for deforestation-free production of commodities in several Indonesian provinces. We believe it is a good approach when the government, the private sector, and the civil society work together to find solutions. Meeting the Sustainable Development Goals is key if we are to develop a safe future for our children. We know that the climate emissions will widen the gap between the rich and the poor in the world. Many of our achievements in economic development is at risk because of the changing climate. To prevent devastating effects, we need to go forward, and we need to go forward together. We need to innovate, and we need to be courageous. We have to develop the policies and the partnerships we need to increase climate action, and our partnership is a significant contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pia. Now from here onwards, the seminar will proceed in 2 sessions of about 1 hour duration each, and then followed by a 10-minute coffee break in the middle, which is at around 10:40. Now, to moderate the sessions, allow me to invite Mr. Paul Davidson, who is Senior Partner at Ruud Peterson, a well-known public affairs consultancy in Nordic countries. Mr. Paul Davidson, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that introduction. My name is Paul. I come from a small fisherman's village above the Arctic Circle. And actually the furthest I've been away from home is, and I'm sorry to disappoint the ambassador, I haven't been to West Papua yet, but I have been to Paradise Bar in Labuan Bajo, so I don't know if that counts. Although neither fish nor dragons is the topic of today's seminar. Norway and Indonesia, although quite far apart, have common interests. As was mentioned earlier, Norway and EFTA has signed a free trade agreement with Indonesia that is awaiting ratification. Indonesia is one of the core partners of Norway in the RED+ program. Indonesia is also a substantial partner and recipient of Norwegian development aid. And in May, Norway granted 90 million to a microfinance fund that aims at reducing deforestation in the Kalimantan. Today's seminar is about the Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm not going to go through all of them. Goal number 1, no poverty. Goal number 2, zero hunger. Goal number 3, good health and well-being. And goal number 13, climate action. Food security and environmental protection are 2 of the most urgent global challenges. Indonesia's peatlands occupy more than 24 million hectares, according to the Environment and Forestry Ministry. These areas are valuable for several reasons, but very important is their capacity of storing enormous amounts of carbon. One of the main reasons for peatland degradation and destruction is that peat is drained to be used for cultivation of agricultural crops. More than 60% of Indonesia's emissions come from deforestation and the degradation of peatlands, including peat fires.